Okay folks, today we're going to cook a beef heart. I got this heart from Better Way Beef. I think they're located somewhere out around, wherever it is in Texas at the Bluebell. Brenham, out around Brenham somewhere. But I get these beef hearts from the guy, get a pretty good price on them. This is all grass-fed beef, and my wife and I found that we absolutely love beef heart. So let me show you how I cook it. First off, we're going to get her cut open here. And I've just got, a cutting board, and I put the pan below it just for a little bits of drips because my cutting board's kind of small. The blood that you pour out, don't freak out about it. It's not like there's extra blood because it's a heart. But this is a beef heart, probably about 3 pounds. Okay, so once you get the heart out of the wrapper, it's really a heart when you take it out of the beef would look about like this, almost like a heart shape, right? They've already split this one open for us. But when you look inside of it, you're going to have all these little bits of artery and stuff that people just kind of creep people out. What I do is just take a fillet knife. I actually like to use a fillet knife a lot for a butcher knife, and just kind of go through and trim all these little bits out. And they're going to go really well, actually, to the chickens, so they don't have to go to waste. And really, I don't know that you have to do this. It's just, if you want to. Just take them, and it doesn't have to be perfect at all. But just kind of go through and just dress your heart up a little bit, however you feel you want to, just to make yourself feel like it's not as gross. It's kind of like a tongue, right? You got to get that leather off the tongue, and then once you get the membrane off the cow tongue, then it doesn't look like a tongue as much anymore, and so you feel better about it. But just go through and try to trim off these little bits so it's not as creepy looking. But really, then what you've got is your heart has, 2 main chambers. If it were all together, you'd see the 2 chambers with the middle division. But really, what you've got here is one massive slab of super tender beef. And it's honestly delicious. I can't even explain how good it is, but the texture is what really gets me. But now I'm going to go through, and all I'm going to do is just kind of lay this thing out into steaks. When I was a kid, my dad would cook them as roast. He would just roast the whole thing. And honestly, I didn't really like it because I didn't really like roast beef that much. But I just kind of go through and just chunk it out however you want. I mean, look at this. Is that a chunk of steak or what? So now I've got basically three big heart steaks. And now I'll go through on the back, and here's a pretty big chunk of heart, or a pretty big chunk of fat. You can take that off if you want, or you can leave it on if you want the extra juice when you grill it. So we'll just take off a little bit of it. We won't take off all of it. There's that boy again. Yeah. So this doesn't have to be perfect. It all depends on how much you want on your cut. So I'll just take off a little bit of it just so I don't feel like I'm getting as much fat. And really, this is pretty much it. It's almost not worth making a video because I tell people it's so simple, but just trim it off however you want, kind of like a brisket. You get a bulk brisket, and they're real big and fatty. So now I've got my 3 main hunks here, and I'm just going to size them down a little bit. So I can take this one. This one's actually really thick, surprisingly thick. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll take and take it down in size. So you've got a smaller steak, and then I'll actually fillet this as well and do a butterfly cut on it and lay it open, which of course this is really dangerous, but it's kind of difficult to get your butterfly started. But I'll do this, and I do the same thing when I cook like a thick roast or a tenderloin. I'll make butterfly cuts in it just to help make the meat a little bit thinner so it cooks a little bit faster. It doesn't dry out as much if you cook it quick on a hot grill. It won't dry out on you as bad. So just make those little butterfly cuts. So now I've got these little steaks, and I'm just going to go through and do that on the whole thing, really, or at least on these 2 thicker pieces. This one here is thinner. This was on that other lobe of the heart, so I'm not going to butterfly it actually. I'm just going to cut it right in the middle, and these, it's little odd shapes, sizes, but that's the way we like to do it. And then from here, I'm just going to take and throw them on the grill. And I don't do anything special with them. I cook them just like I'd cook any other steak or burger. Just some salt, pepper, maybe a little garlic salt. And I promise you, when it comes out, it's so good that my wife even likes it. And she's not a picky eater. She just turned her nose up the first time I suggested eating heart. But I think the happy expression on my face when I eat it was enough to convince her. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this one open, and then I'll get them seasoned up, and we're going to grill them for dinner tonight, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. So here's our finished product on the beef heart. I've taken this little one here and cut it in half just so you can see. It's cooked all the way through. And I really, just got the grill good and hot, and just stood there and flipped it, and kept it over the hot flames until it was all cooked up. But you can see how it likes to want to curl up on you, and that's because of that natural curvature when that heart was, in that shape. So the more diligent you are about cutting along the curve when you cut it up, it'll help it not curl like this as much. So this one here, see that one barely curled. That one got a little too hot, but it barely curled up at all. So that was one of those that was part of the main wall of the heart, whereas all these other ones that curled around, the ones I cut wrong and got them on the side. But anyway, it cooked up great. All I used for seasoning was just black pepper and garlic salt, and I've already taken a sample of this one, and it is delicious. So I can tell you guys, I'm no grill master, but this heart makes me seem like one, so I love it.